where I come in to decode Hollywood again. At least Hollywood's tweets. Hello, everyone. I am Mecha. I'm your favorite YouTube consumer advocate here on the interwebs. And I know I covered this tweet about a month ago when it came out, but I want to kind of go more in depth because there's some channels that are taking the longest way possible to talk about one little tweet. Basically talking about how the series is our old standard, our old standby of quote-unquote 25% different. Who are you? Why are you here?
Hi, I'm nobody. I lost the rights to my name in the split, didn't I?
Probably.
No, maybe. Well, I'm at the risk of being sued. I'm Rob Robot Shlomo. I have some experience with this kind of thing, sort of. Well,
you had an old channel who's out there releasing videos, chasing month-old tweets. So I figured I'd have to go in and kind of explain it, since I know I just put it as a little footnote, a little side note in my video, probably a month ago when I talked about this. Kevin Smith talking about the show's producer is Mattel. So everything we do in Revelation is more toy-based. The old show is owned by another studio, which is why I've always said our Masters of Official series is a quote-unquote spiritual sequel. That's actually not true. You and everybody else were marketing this as a direct sequel to the 80s show.
Ding!
But it's a spiritual sequel to the old show. Legally, we can't be an actual sequel to Filmation. Now, I kind of knew this going in because I saw this tweet about a month ago. But I wanted to go over this a little bit more because we've had some experience in the past chasing some tweets and digging into this 25% different stuff. It's kind of a general rule anytime licensing or merch or any of this stuff changes hands, where the original creator still kind of keeps a piece of their intellectual property to themselves while selling off, oh yeah, go ahead and make that, but just don't do it exact. Keep it so that we still have, some integrity or some ownership of the original or whatever. And we see this time and time again with Star Trek and Star Wars and pretty much any time. So why are you here? Why did I bring you in?
Just about anything with the word star in front of it, right?
That's any geek franchise, any long-running franchise that's been around for a very long time, where it kind of changes and bounces around, like Spider-Man specifically, where you'll have like Marvel's MJ and then Sony's Mary Jane. They're all different companies, different licenses, different. So why are you here?
Well, I'm here to explain a couple now about the licensing, right? Long story short, try to make this as brief as possible. There was a case when we talk about licensing and 25% different, it comes back to Star Trek. Viacom used to own Paramount and CBS at one time. The company split in 2005. CBS took the Star Trek, the television side of things, which was the proper IP, the whole shebang-a-bang. Paramount took the movies. Paramount said, hey, we want to keep making movies. CBS said, well, we don't care. And so Paramount said, well, can you do something for us? CBS said, oh, we'll create this license. See, you got to make it, but you got to make it different. Enough different so people don't get your stuff confused with our stuff. So that's where the whole 25% difference comes in.
Problem is, the creators come in and lie and say, oh, no, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. And they did that with Star Trek, too. They've done that with Star Wars. Whenever, like, J.J. Abrams would come in and he's like, well, I want my license of my toys. And I want, because the Disney Stormtroopers are clearly different. And it's about a 25% thing. It's not an exact number that they're going to go in and measure every little point on. But, they kind of give designers and creatives. They've done this in Star Trek, and I'll pull up that screenshot and plop it in post, where they say, oh, as per the 25% difference, we're going to change a couple little things to make our version just a little bit different. That's why the Enterprises are different. That's why He-Man's different. That's why when you... Lucky for me, on the last take we were accidentally not recording on, I grabbed my Battle Cat He-Man battle armor thingy thing. See, you still have different heads, you have the different insignia. It's different enough to be, like, of the new thing, so you're not confusing them. And, they still even throw in the old heads for, collectors. But
different, but it's still recognizable. That's the thing. Different enough, but it not to the point where you say, what is that? It's different enough, but you still say, hey, that's He-Man, or hey, that's Spock, or hey, whatever.
But it's not like exactly the same as the old stuff, and I guess that helps with the collectible markets. That helps the original creatives keep their IP to themselves, to keep their creative control. Anywho, I kind of wanted to bring you on not just to explain the 25% difference stuff, but is this kind of something where just because you and I do YouTube and we kind of see this all the time, we come in with a different expectation than maybe the viewing audience might, where they're promised, hey, this is going to be a new He-Man show, and it's clearly not. It's clearly, you know, a Tila show that looks like He-Man with the characters that are pretty much based on, I mean, you can even see here on the original versus the new. I mean, the insignias are different. Everything's different about them.
Well, I got a feeling it's not. It extends farther than just He-Man and Star Trek and Star Wars. You know, we had a recent movie with a particular person who has reptile eyes.
Oh, snake eyes! You know? They changed out snake eyes too, didn't they? Yeah, they made it 25% different. Pretty much any of these old IPs, they every time you get like a new production company or a new team in.
Hasbro owns the toy rights, but I think Marvel owns a lot of the character rights. That.
Yeah, so nothing's ever like the same anyway. And this is one of the problems that I see every single time. This is why I keep having this question of, why are we still going back to these old brands and franchises?
The rights, every time the rights change hands, the property changes. We're never going to get the original.
All right, every time the rights change hands, we get a less and less, more watered down version of the original thing. So for somebody like me, I can sit here and say I don't particularly feel lied to. I feel like they're doing all the Hollywood mumbo jumbo marketing stuff where they tell you, yeah, it's the sequel, because they want you to come in and buy it as the sequel, but they can never give us that. And we've seen this time and time again. So is it up to us, or should these companies just stop making this stuff? Because none of us had to watch it, especially when people like me are there saying, no, it's not going to be the same. It's literally all about Tila. The guy who plays Orko said so. Is it kind of on us? Should we be like buyer beware almost at this point, or?
Well, at this point, we got to recognize that it's never going to be exactly the same as what we knew.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to expect some changes, but again, there could be changes, but as long as it's still recognizable. And in the case of He-Man, I still recognize that as He-Man. You know, hey, look, it's He-Man. Even the story may not be what I expected, but at first glance, oh look, that's He-Man. That's an updated version.
It was everything I expected. I mean, I kind of went in thinking, okay, they're gonna kill him off, and it's gonna be, because Revelation, my brain goes to Revelations, my brain goes to Afterlife, my brain goes a lot of those places. Well, I also was kind of heavily researching this, and I've done this on YouTube long enough to know when we're seeing a property change hands, that's what we're getting. I mean, do we need to be more clear when we're talking about these things on YouTube? Do we need to just read more? Do we need to kind of get in the creators' spaces and say, you're not going to give us something because you don't have the rights anyway, so why are you bothering? Stop extorting us.
I think what we need to do is recognize that, you know, in the case of, let's just say He-Man. Let's say in the case of He-Man, we're talking about that. We need to recognize that this is not the Filmation series. But they also need to be upfront about that. Hey, this isn't going to be the Filmation series, okay? We can't, that's owned by someone else. We can't do that.
Exactly.
So
I really wish they would have gone in and said, well, it's as much as we can make it, considering it's owned by somebody else. It's going to be a show taking the logical conclusion with Tila's journey on this or that. And I think people might have been less mad. I think it might have been, or maybe it would have been the same thing. Are we in the day and age where we are so burned by every single IP that anytime we see a woman, we go immediately, it's going to be woke? anytime we see a woman, because I see a lot of people kind of reacting that way now, pretty much no matter what choice. Because I see a lot of, like, there's a lot of stuff in this. I personally find Tila to, or at least the character that they made Tila into, to be perfectly justified in being upset over, like, you know, when they're gonna execute Duncan.
And if I ever see you again, I will have you executed!
For example, or telling her she has to arrest him, or, you know, keeping information from her so she can't do her job as, you know, palace guard, man-at-arms sort of job. So I see things a little differently, but then again, I'm not going in expecting the exact same show from the 1980s. I'm expecting a grown-up He-Man where they kill each other and they stab each other with the swords, and it's going to be a little bit different because I'm used to this. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we have the it just calls for tempered expectations.
But then maybe they should stop making stuff if we got to keep lowering our expectations. I mean, because, like, nobody was really asking or clamoring for a new He-Man show.
No.
I mean, this is just Mattel trying to sell new toys. They're succeeding in it because a lot of people are out there defending it. A lot of people like me. I'm still buying the toys anyway because I like them. You know, I like them. They're cool. And I've actually been hunting Castle Grayskull all day, which I'm not going to be able to afford because I have to buy it on Amazon at twice the price. But anyway, do you have any other thoughts on that, or?
No, I'm good. I'm just trying to get the rights to my name back.
Uncancel Rob. We gotta get his watch hours up. I am Mecha.
I'm the artist formerly known as Robot.
See you guys later. Bye.
See you next time.
Thanks for watching. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye!
Get out! I strip you of your title and banish you from the palace forever!